the shuttle bucked hard as plasma fire tore through the left wing. Captain Derek Hunt gripped the controls with both hands, sweat streaming down his face as alarms screamed through the cockpit. 3 Valkor destroyers had him locked, their weapons charging for the kill shot. "This is Cargo Transport 79er requesting emergency assistance," Derek barked into the comm. "I'm hauling medical supplies to the colony, not weapons. Stand down." The response came in clicks and hisses, the universal translator rendering it cold and final. "All human vessels are enemy targets. Surrender or die." Derek slammed the throttle forward. The shuttle wasn't built for combat, but he'd modified the engines himself during the long months of uneasy peace that had just shattered like glass. The lead destroyer fired. Derek rolled hard, feeling the heat wash over the hull as the bolt missed by inches. His fingers flew across the console, rerouting power from life support to shields. He had maybe 2 minutes of air left, but he'd be dead in 30 seconds without protection. "Come on," he muttered, diving toward the asteroid field below. The rocks would give him cover, maybe buy him enough time to reach the human defense perimeter. A second bolt clipped his starboard engine. The shuttle spun wildly, cockpit lights flickering as systems failed one by one. Derek fought the spin, muscles straining as he wrestled the ship back under control. His personal comm chirped, "Private channel," encrypted with a code only 2 people in the galaxy knew. "Derek, where are you?" The voice made his heart stop, soft, melodic, touched with an accent that turned human words into music. "Zara, not now," he said through gritted teeth. Another blast rocked the shuttle. "I'm a little busy dying. Those are my ships." Her voice carried an edge he'd never heard before. "Give me your position." "Now, your ships?" Derek's blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" "There's no time. Trust me." Transponder code. He hesitated for half a second, then rattled off the numbers. The comm went silent. The destroyers closed in, weapons hot. Derek prepared to eject, knowing he'd never survive the vacuum, but refusing to give them the satisfaction of blowing him apart. Then all 3 warships broke off simultaneously, engines flaring as they retreated at impossible speed. Derek stared at his scanner, unable to process what he was seeing. The destroyers were running from him, from a crippled cargo shuttle held together by spit and prayers. His comm crackled again. "Land at the coordinates I'm sending. Don't deviate. Don't contact anyone." And Derek. Zara's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way." The message ended. New coordinates appeared on his screen, pointing to an unmarked station in deep space. Derek's hands shook as he set the course. 6 months ago, he'd married a woman in secret on a Rimworld chapel. A woman with violet eyes and silver hair who said she was a refugee fleeing political persecution. He'd never asked what kind of persecution, never asked which world she'd fled. Now, as war erupted across the sector and alien warships fled at her command, Derek realized he'd made a terrible mistake. He'd fallen in love without asking the right questions. The unmarked station materialized from the darkness like a ghost. Derek had passed through this sector 100 times and never seen it. Cloaking technology, military grade, the kind that cost more than a colony planet. His shuttle limped into the docking bay on emergency thrusters. The moment he touched down, armed guards surrounded the ship. Not human guards, Valkor warriors 8 feet tall, their crystalline armor reflecting the harsh lights. Each one carried plasma rifles that could vaporize him before he blinked. Derek kept his hands visible as the airlock cycled open. He stepped out slowly, every instinct screaming at him to run, to fight, to do anything except walk calmly toward the aliens who'd been trying to kill him 5 minutes ago. Captain Hunt. The lead warrior's translator rendered his voice like grinding stones. You will follow. They marched him through corridors of polished metal and glowing conduits. No windows, no markings, nothing to indicate where he was or why the station existed. Other Valkor moved past, some in military uniforms, others in robes decorated with symbols Derek didn't recognize. Every single one stopped and stared as he passed. The guards halted before a massive door etched with elaborate patterns. It slid open silently. The room beyond stole his breath. Curved walls displayed star charts of the entire sector. Holographic projections showed fleet movements, battle formations, casualty reports. Hundreds of ships, thousands of soldiers, all moving according to some vast strategic plan. And at the center of it all stood Zara. But not the Zara he knew. Not the woman who'd laughed at his terrible jokes in that chapel, who'd held his hand under alien stars, who'd whispered promises in the dark. This Zara wore armor of flowing silver that seemed alive, shifting like mercury across her skin. A crown of light hovered above her head, pulsing with energy. Her violet eyes blazed with power that made the air itself tremble. "Leave us," she said quietly. The guards obeyed instantly, the door sealing behind them. Derek stood frozen, unable to reconcile the woman before him with the one he'd married. "Who are you?" "I am Zaratinel, Supreme Commander of the Valkor Empire, daughter of the Eternal Throne, and heir to 17 star systems." She moved toward him, each step precise and controlled. "I am also the woman who promised to love you until the stars went dark. You lied to me." The words came out hollow. "I omitted the truth." "There's a difference, is there?" Derek's voice rose. "You're their queen, their commander. Those ships that just tried to kill me, they take orders from you." Zara flinched. "I didn't know you were in that sector. When the war began, I gave orders to engage all human military vessels. You were supposed to be safe on the rim, away from the fighting." "The war began?" Derek laughed bitterly. "You mean the war you started?" "I didn't start it." Her eyes flashed dangerously. "Your people killed my father." The room went silent. Derek felt like he'd been punched in the gut. "What?" 3 days ago, human assassins infiltrated the royal palace on Valkor Prime. They murdered him in his sleep. Her voice cracked just slightly. "The council demanded immediate retaliation. I had no choice. There's always a choice, not when you're responsible for billions of lives." Zara turned back to the star charts. "Not when your people scream for vengeance and your enemies celebrate in the streets. Not when refusing means civil war and the death of everything your father built." Derek moved closer, studying her face. Beneath the armor and the crown and the power, he saw exhaustion, pain, fear. "Why did you marry me?" he asked quietly. "Because for one perfect moment, I wanted to be someone else. Someone who could fall in love without starting an interstellar incident." She met his eyes. "Because when I'm with you, I'm not a queen or a commander or a weapon. I'm just Zara." "But you are those things. You can't separate them." "I know." She reached out, stopping just short of touching him. "I know, and I'm sorry, but Derek, I need your help." "My help?" He almost laughed again. "I'm a cargo pilot." "What could I possibly do? You can help me end this war before it consumes everything." She pulled up a new hologram showing troop movements near human colonies. "My military commanders want total victory. They're planning to strike your core worlds, to cripple humanity so thoroughly you'll never threaten us again. And you're telling me this why? Because I don't want victory. I want peace." Zara's hands trembled as she manipulated the display. The assassination was a setup. Someone wants this war, wants humans and Valkor destroying each other. I have evidence, but no one will listen to a queen who secretly married a human. Derek stared at the battle plans, at the millions of lives hanging in the balance. If anyone finds out about us, about our marriage, they'll call me a traitor, strip my title, execute me for treason. She finally touched him, her hand cold against his. But I'd rather die as a traitor than live as the butcher of billions. You're insane. Probably. A ghost of a smile crossed her face. Will you help me anyway? Derek thought about the shuttle burning around him, about the war erupting across the stars, about a woman who'd risked everything for one moment of honest love. Yeah, he said, I'll help. But first you're going to tell me everything. Zara pulled up a recording. The hologram showed a darkened corridor in what Derek recognized as human architecture. 3 figures in black tactical gear moved with military precision toward a set of ornate doors. This is from my father's security system, Zara said. Watch their movements. Derek studied the footage. Something felt wrong. The way they moved, the way they held their weapons, the deliberate pause before entering the throne room. They're too slow, he muttered. Any special forces team would breach faster, cleaner.
Exactly.
Zara froze the image. These aren't elite soldiers. They're actors playing a role. Look at the weapons. She enhanced the image. The rifles were human design, but the power cells were wrong. The serial numbers filed off cleanly instead of the rough scratches actual black market dealers used. Someone wanted this to look like a human operation, Derek said. Someone with access to both human and Valkor military equipment. Zara switched to another file. After the assassination, I personally reviewed every ship that entered Valkor Prime's orbit that week. 3 vessels had falsified credentials. All 3 belonged to the same shell corporation. Let me guess. The corporation doesn't exist? It exists. But it's owned by another corporation, which is owned by another. Buried so deep I needed my best intelligence operatives to trace it. She pulled up a name that made Derek's blood freeze. Nexus Industrial Combine. That's impossible, Derek breathed. Nexus supplies half the human colonies. They're one of the largest manufacturers in the sector. They also supply my fleet. Zara brought up shipping manifests. Weapons, armor, ship components. For the last 5 years, they've been arming both sides. Derek felt sick. They're profiteering from the war. Worse, they're engineering it. Zara displayed communications intercepts, coded messages between Nexus executives discussing fleet movements, political assassinations, strategic provocations. They didn't just want war. They needed it. Peace was cutting into their profit margins. So they killed your father and framed humanity. And now they're selling weapons to both sides as we tear each other apart. Zara's voice turned cold. Every ship destroyed, every soldier killed, every colony burned generates revenue. The longer the war continues, the richer they become. Derek paced the room, mind racing. Your military commanders, do they know? Some suspect. Most don't care. Nexus has embedded themselves so deeply in both our supply chains that exposing them would cripple our war effort. She closed the files. And without proof that humans didn't kill my father, my people will never accept peace. What kind of proof? The kind that requires infiltrating Nexus headquarters, accessing their core database, and extracting evidence that will hold up in both human and Valkor courts. Zara looked at him steadily. The kind of mission that's essentially suicide. You want me to break into one of the most secure facilities in human space. I want us to break in. Together. Derek laughed, a sharp, disbelieving sound. You're the Valkor Queen. You can't just waltz into enemy territory. I can if no one recognizes me. Zara tapped her armor. The silver flowed away, dissolving into her skin, until she stood in simple civilian clothes, her hair darkening to brown, her eyes shifting from violet to hazel. Genetic masking technology. My scientists developed it for deep cover operations. She looked completely human. If Derek hadn't watched the transformation, he'd never know. That's disturbing. That's survival. She changed back. The armor reforming. Nexus headquarters is on Garrison Station, neutral territory between human and Valcor space. We go in as a married couple seeking contract work. You're a pilot looking for employment. I'm your wife, a systems analyst. And when we get caught, we don't get caught. Zara's expression hardened. Because if we fail, this war escalates. My commanders are planning a massive assault on the human core worlds in 72 hours. Millions will die in the first wave, billions in the aftermath. Derek moved to the star charts, studying the Valcor fleet positions. She wasn't exaggerating. 3 entire battle groups positioned for a devastating strike. Even if we get the evidence, how do we stop the attack? I need 12 hours. 12 hours to present the proof to my war council, to convince them we're fighting the wrong enemy. She joined him at the display. But I can't delay the assault without cause. The moment I try, my own commanders will remove me and proceed anyway. So we have 72 hours to infiltrate Nexus, steal classified data, escape alive, and convince your entire military command to stand down. 71 hours now. Derek rubbed his face. This is insane. We're 2 people against a galactic corporation and 2 military machines already committed to mutual destruction. I know we'll probably die. Most likely. And you think we can actually pull this off? Zara smiled, and for a moment she was just the woman from the chapel again, the one who'd believed in impossible things. You jumped into an asteroid field in a cargo shuttle with 3 destroyers on your tail. You didn't surrender. You didn't eject. You fought until the last second. I didn't have a choice. We always have a choice. We can fight or we can give up. We can try, or we can let billions die knowing we could have done something. She held out her hand. I'm choosing to fight. Will you fight with me? Derek looked at her hand, at the woman who'd lied to him, who'd put him in impossible danger, who was asking him to risk everything for people who'd never even know his name. He thought about the colonies, about the families who'd burn when the Valcor fleets arrived, about the Valcor worlds that would face human retaliation, about a war built on lies and fed by greed. He took her hand. All right, Your Majesty, let's go steal some evidence and stop a war. He pulled her close. But when this is over, we're having a very long conversation about honesty in marriage. Zara laughed, the sound genuine and bright. Deal. Garrison Station sprawled across the void like a mechanical city. Ships from a dozen species docked at its ports, trading goods, information, and secrets. The neutral zone existed because everyone needed a place where wars paused and business continued. Derek guided their small transport toward Docking Bay 7. Beside him, Zara looked perfectly human, her disguise flawless down to the nervous fidget she'd adopted. She'd even changed her scent, he realized. No longer the subtle spice of Valcor physiology, but something ordinary, forgettable. Docking fees authenticated, the station controller announced. Welcome to Garrison, Captain Hunt and guest. They cleared customs without incident. Derek's pilot credentials were legitimate, and Zara's forged identity as Lisa Grant passed every scanner. Within minutes they walked the main concourse, blending into the crowd of merchants, mercenaries, and refugees. Nexus headquarters is in the commercial sector, level 40, Zara murmured. High security, biometric scanners, armed guards. So how do we get in? We don't break in. We get invited. She pulled up a data pad, showing him a job posting. Nexus is hiring contract pilots for a supply run. Premium pay, immediate start. Derek read the details. They want someone to haul weapons to the front lines. You want me to actually work for them? I want you to get inside their system. Once you're in their employment database, I can piggyback on your credentials to access restricted areas. She smiled slightly. While you're charming the hiring manager, I'll be visiting their technical support department. As what exactly? A frustrated contractor whose access codes aren't working. Standard social engineering. People always help when you're polite and slightly incompetent. They split up at the transit hub. Derek took the lift to Nexus Recruiting while Zara headed for technical services. His heart hammered as he approached the gleaming office complex, all chrome and glass and corporate intimidation. The hiring manager was a thin man named Gregory Stone who looked like he'd never smiled in his life. He reviewed Derek's flight records with mechanical precision. Impressive safety rating, Stone said. Though I see you've been operating in contested zones recently, cargo pilots go where the money is. Derek kept his voice casual. War zones pay better than milk runs. Indeed, they do. Nexus values contractors who understand pragmatism over politics. Stone pulled up a contract. Standard terms. You haul what we tell you, when we tell you, no questions asked. Violate confidentiality, and we prosecute to the fullest extent. Understood. Stone's eyes narrowed. You don't want to know what you'll be hauling? Does it matter? You're paying 3 times standard rate. I assume there's a reason. A thin smile crossed Stone's face. You'll do. Report to Bay 19 in 2 hours. Your cargo manifest will be waiting. Derek signed the contract, feeling dirty as his biometrics registered in Nexus systems. Stone handed him an access card, and just like that, he was inside. He found Zara 20 minutes later in a quiet maintenance corridor. She'd already changed clothes, now wearing a Nexus Technical Services uniform. I'm in their network, she whispered, showing him a handheld device. But their core database is physically isolated, air-gapped from everything else, meaning we need physical access, meaning we need to get into their executive server room on level 63. She pulled up schematics, 6 guards, retinal scanners, the works. Derek studied the layout. My cargo bay is on level 20. There's a service elevator that runs to 63 for equipment transport. Restricted access only, which I now have thanks to my new employment. He showed her his card. Question is, how do we deal with 6 armed guards? Zara's expression turned calculating. We don't fight them, we evacuate them. She led him to a maintenance panel and started rewiring circuits with practiced efficiency. Station safety protocols require immediate evacuation of any section showing signs of plasma containment failure. If I trigger the right alarms in the ventilation system near the server room, everyone clears out. And if actual safety teams show up, I'll time it during shift change. We'll have maybe 8 minutes before anyone realizes it's a false alarm. Her fingers flew across the circuits. 8 minutes to access the server, download everything, and disappear. Derek checked his chronometer. My cargo assignment is in 90 minutes. If I don't show, they'll flag my credentials. Then we do this now. Zara finished her work and sealed the panel. Ready? No. But let's go anyway. They took the service elevator, Derek's access card granting them passage. The lift hummed upward, each floor bringing them deeper into Nexus territory. Derek's palms sweated despite the climate control. Level 63. The doors opened onto a sterile hallway. Through reinforced windows, Derek saw the guard Zara had mentioned, positioned outside a vault-like door. Zara triggered her alarm sequence. Klaxons shrieked. Red lights bathed the corridor. A synthesized voice announced plasma containment breach. Evacuation mandatory. All personnel to emergency stations. The guards hesitated for exactly 3 seconds. Then training took over and they ran following protocol that had been drilled into them 1,000 times. Derek and Zara sprinted to the vault door. She bypassed the retinal scanner with a device that mimicked executive authorization patterns, and the door slid open. The server room was cold, filled with rows of humming machines that stored Nexus secrets. Zara plugged her device into the central terminal and started the data extraction.
"How long?" Derek asked.
6 minutes for the full download. Derek watched the corridor through the window, empty. The alarm still wailed, but somewhere security was probably wondering why their sensors showed no actual plasma leak. 4 minutes, Zara said. A figure appeared at the corridor's far end. Not a guard. Gregory Stone, moving against the evacuation flow with deliberate purpose. Company, Derek said. Stone saw them through the window. His expression didn't change, didn't show surprise or anger, just cold calculation. He pulled a communicator. Security to level 62. We have intruders in the core server room. 3 minutes, Zara said, her voice tight. Stone drew a weapon, a compact plasma pistol that could punch through the reinforced glass. He aimed carefully. Derek grabbed a server rack and yanked it free, circuits sparking. He hurled it at the window just as Stone fired. The bolt meant for Derek's chest hit the rack instead, metal exploding in a shower of debris. 2 minutes, Zara said. Boots thundered in the distance. The security team, armed and coming fast. Derek looked at Zara, at the download progress bar crawling forward with agonizing slowness. We're not going to make it, he said. Yes, we are. She pulled a data chip from her pocket. Backup plan. I'm copying the most critical files now. Everything that proves Nexus engineered the war. And the rest? We leave it. She yanked the chip free. Run. They burst from the server room as security flooded the corridor from both directions. Derek grabbed Zara's hand and pulled her toward a maintenance hatch he'd spotted during their approach. The panel came loose with a hard kick, revealing a narrow crawl space thick with cables and pipes. In now, Derek shouted. They squeezed through as plasma bolts scorched the walls behind them. The hatch sealed, buying them seconds. Derek scrambled forward through the cramped passage, Zara right behind him. Shouts echoed through the walls, boots pounding metal as security triangulated their position. They'll lock down the station, Zara said between breaths. Seal every exit. Then we don't use exits. Derek found a junction point where the crawl space intersected with the environmental systems. How fast can you override docking clamp controls? She understood immediately. 30 seconds if I can access a maintenance terminal. They dropped into a service corridor 1 level down. Derek's access card still worked, not yet flagged in the chaos. They reached a wall terminal, and Zara's fingers became a blur across the interface. Alarms changed pitch. New warnings blared about unauthorized system access. 20 seconds, Zara said. Security appeared at the corridor's end. 6 guards, weapons raised. The lead officer's voice boomed through a speaker. On the ground, hands visible, now. Derek raised his hand slowly. Beside him, Zara kept working, her body shielding the terminal. I said on the ground, the officer repeated, moving closer. 10 seconds, Zara whispered. The guards were 15 feet away when she hit the final command. Throughout the station, docking clamps released simultaneously. Hundreds of ships, suddenly free from their moorings, triggered proximity alarms. Emergency systems engaged, creating chaos across every bay. Zara grabbed Derek and they ran. The guards fired, but the bolts went wide as the station shuddered, artificial gravity fluctuating from the sudden mass redistribution. Ships bumped against each other, captain shouting over comms, docking controls screaming for everyone to stay calm. Derek and Zara reached Bay 7. Their transport was drifting, clamps disengaged like every other vessel. Derek activated the magnetic grapple from his wrist control, a tool every station pilot carried. The line shot out, connecting with the transport's hull. "Hold on," he said, and triggered the retraction. They flew across the bay, weightless in the fluctuating gravity. Guards burst through the bay doors but couldn't shoot without risking hull breach. Derek and Zara hit the transport's airlock hard, pain shooting through Derek's shoulder as they tumbled inside. Derek made it to the cockpit and fired engines while Zara sealed the airlock. The transport lurched away from the station, joining the swarm of confused ships now clogging Garrison space. "They're launching interceptors," Zara said, reading the scanner. 4 Nexus security craft broke from the station, faster and better armed than the transport. Derek pushed the throttle to maximum, weaving through the traffic, using civilian ships as cover. A bolt clipped their shields. Another warning alarm joined the symphony. "I need weapons," Derek said. "We don't have weapons." "Then I need ideas." Zara studied the scanner, her tactical mind processing vectors and trajectories. "Garrison's defensive perimeter. If we can reach it, station security can't follow without violating neutrality protocols."
That's 5 minutes away.
"We've got maybe 1. The interceptors closed in, bracketing them from 3 sides. The lead crap's pilot spoke over an open channel. "Shut down your engines or we open fire. You're carrying stolen Nexus property." Derek didn't respond. He angled toward a bulk freighter, timing his approach perfectly. The freighter's massive engines flared as it maneuvered, super hot exhaust filling the space Derek had occupied a second before. 2 interceptors pulled up hard, avoiding the wash. The third wasn't fast enough. Its shields overloaded and it spun wildly, pilot fighting for control. 3 pursuers left. Derek dove under a passenger liner, using its bulk to break line of sight. Zara called out positions as he flew by instinct, every maneuver pushing the transport's limits. "Incoming from above," she warned. Derek rolled left. The bolt meant for his engines hit the liner's shields instead, triggering angry warnings from the civilian captain. 2 minutes to the perimeter, Zara said. But the interceptors had them boxed. 1 above, 1 below, 1 matching speed behind. No room to dodge, no cover left. The lead interceptor charged weapons for a killing shot. Then space lit up with new contacts, warships dropping from faster than light, massive and bristling with guns. Derek's heart sank as he read the signatures. Valcor battlecruisers.
3 of them. We're dead, he said.
But the battlecruisers didn't fire on them. They positioned themselves between the transport and the interceptors, their weapons targeting the Nexus craft. A new voice filled the comm, speaking in Valcor. Zara responded in the same language, her tone commanding despite the human disguise. The interceptors scattered immediately, running for the station. Derek stared at the massive warships now escorting them. "What did you just tell them?" "That I was invoking emergency authority as Supreme Commander." Zara's disguise flickered, her true form showing through. "And that anyone who fired on us would face execution for treason." "They're just going to accept that?" "You don't look like their queen." Voice recognition protocols. "Every Valcor officer is trained to recognize my vocal patterns." She smiled grimly. "Also, I transmitted my personal command codes, the ones only I possess." The battlecruisers formed a protective formation around the transport, guiding them away from Garrison. Within minutes, they were surrounded by 24 Valcor warships, an entire fleet materializing from the dark. Derek had never felt so small. A face appeared on the view screen, a Valcor admiral, her armor decorated with rank insignia. She spoke rapidly in her native language, Zara responding with equal intensity. "What's happening?" Derek asked. "She's demanding to know why I disappeared, why I'm traveling in human space in disguise, and why I just caused a diplomatic incident at a neutral station." Zara switched to English. "Admiral Vextara, this is Captain Derek Hunt, my husband." The silence that followed could have frozen stars. Vextara's expression transformed from confusion to shock to something that might have been horror. She spoke again, words clipped and harsh. "She says the War Council is demanding my presence," Zara translated. "The attack on human core worlds begins in 48 hours. If I don't return immediately and explain my actions, they'll proceed without me. And if you do return, they'll want to know everything: where I've been, what I've done, who I married." Zara met his eyes. "They'll discover our marriage, Derek. When they do, some will call for my execution. Can you stop the attack if you go back? Maybe, if I present the evidence. If I convince them Nexus engineered the assassination." She looked at the data chip in her hand. "If they believe me instead of throwing me in chains." Derek looked at the fleet surrounding them, at the Admiral waiting for an answer, at the woman who'd risked everything for a chance at peace. "Then we go back," he said. "Together." The Valcor War Council chamber was built for intimidation. Massive columns of black stone rose toward a ceiling lost in shadow. Holographic displays showed fleet positions, casualty projections, worlds marked for conquest. 50 military commanders filled the tiered seats, their crystalline armor reflecting light like shattered stars. Derek stood beside Zara at the chamber's center, feeling every hostile eye upon him. She'd dropped her disguise the moment they'd boarded the flagship. Now she wore full royal armor, the crown of light blazing above her head, but her hand stayed locked with his. Admiral Vextara addressed the council in Valcor, her voice echoing through the chamber. Zara's translator whispered in Derek's ear, rendering the words. "Supreme Commander Zara Tennell stands accused of abandoning her post during wartime, consorting with the enemy, and committing treason against the Empire. How does she answer these charges?" Zara stepped forward, head high. "I answer that I have committed no treason. I have worked to save this empire from destroying itself based on lies." She held up the data chip. "This contains proof that Nexus Industrial Combine orchestrated my father's assassination. They hired actors to pose as human assassins. They manufactured this war to profit from our mutual destruction." Murmurs rippled through the council. A commander with scars across his face rose. "Even if true, it changes nothing. Humans still threaten our borders. This war was inevitable." "No," Derek said. Every eye turned to him. "This war was engineered. Nexus has been arming both sides for years, positioning pieces, waiting for the right moment to light the fuse." "A human speaks before this council!" Another commander stood, fury in her voice. "You dare bring your enemy husband here and expect us to listen? I expect you to look at the evidence before launching an attack that will kill millions on both sides," Zara said. She activated the data chip, and holographic files materialized above them. Communications, transactions, shipping manifests, all documenting Nexus conspiracy. The scarred commander studied the data. "This could be fabricated. Check the encryption signatures," Zara said. "These files came directly from Nexus Core servers. They are authenticated and time-stamped." Silence fell as commanders verified the evidence. Derek watched their expressions shift from skepticism to uncertainty to cold anger. "If this is true," Vextara said slowly, "then we have been manipulated into war with the wrong enemy."
"Not if," Zara said.
"When. And Nexus isn't finished. They want this war to escalate. Every weapon we buy, every ship we lose, increases their profits. The scarred commander slammed his fist on the armrest. Then we strike Nexus, destroy their facilities, end their manipulation, and prove to humanity that we're exactly the threat they fear, Zara countered. No, we end this by exposing them, by showing both sides the truth. You ask us to trust humans? The angry female commander stepped down from her seat. To believe they will accept this evidence and make peace? I ask you to give them the chance. Derek moved forward, ignoring the weapons that tracked him. I'm not a diplomat or a soldier. I'm just a cargo pilot who fell in love with your queen. But I know my people. Show them proof that we're fighting the wrong enemy, and they'll listen. Pretty words from a human who has compromised our supreme commander. The female commander approached Zara directly. You married this creature in secret. You put personal desire above duty. You are unfit to lead. Perhaps Zara didn't flinch. But I am also the one who discovered the truth while you prepared to slaughter millions based on a lie. Judge me for that. The council erupted in argument, voices rising in heated debate. Derek felt the moment balanced on a knife's edge. Then a new voice cut through the chaos. Enough. An ancient Valkor emerged from the shadows, robes flowing, face weathered by centuries. The council fell silent immediately. Elder Catherine, Vextera breathed. The elder approached Zara and Derek, studying them with eyes that had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. Your father, the late emperor, understood that strength alone does not build empires. He knew when to fight and when to forge alliances. Catherine held out a withered hand. Give me the evidence. Zara handed over the data chip. The elder examined the files with painstaking thoroughness while the entire council waited. Minutes stretched like hours. Finally, Catherine spoke. This evidence is genuine. Nexus Industrial Combine orchestrated the assassination and manipulated both sides toward war. He fixed the council with a hard stare. The question is, what do we do now? We must share this with human leadership, Zara said simultaneously. A joint announcement exposing Nexus and calling for ceasefire. They will not believe us, the scarred commander said. They will if Derek delivers the message. Zara turned to him. Your people will trust one of their own more than they'll trust us. Derek nodded slowly. I'll need protection. The moment Nexus realizes we have this evidence, they'll try to silence us. You'll have an entire battle group, Vextara said, and a direct channel to human command. The angry female commander stepped forward again. And what of your marriage? This violation of protocol? Zara met her gaze steadily. I married for love, not politics. I won't apologize for choosing hope over tradition. Catherine's weathered face creased into something that might have been a smile. Your father married your mother against the council's wishes. They said a union between rival houses would weaken the empire. Instead, it united us. He addressed the council. Sometimes the strongest choice is the one that looks like weakness. The council voted. One by one, commanders gave their approval. Not all of them, but enough. Within hours, Derek stood before a communication array transmitting to human high command. Behind him, Valkor ships held position, weapons cold but ready. Beside him, Zara remained in full view, a symbol of the impossible alliance. This is Captain Derek Hunt, he said. I have evidence that Nexus Industrial Combine assassinated the Valkor Emperor and framed humanity to start this war. They're profiting from our conflict while we destroy each other. I'm transmitting the proof now. The human admiral who appeared on screen looked skeptical until the data started flooding in. His expression changed as he reviewed the files, the same progression Derek had seen in the Valkor Council. If this is accurate, the Admiral said carefully, then we've been played. We both have, Zara said, stepping forward, but we don't have to keep dancing to their tune. The Admiral studied her, then Derek. You're asking for a ceasefire. I'm asking for the chance to fight the real enemy, Zara said. Together, the transmission held for a long moment. Then the Admiral nodded. I'll take this to the Joint Chiefs. No promises, but we'll review the evidence. That's all we ask, Derek said. The screen went dark. Zara exhaled slowly, tension draining from her shoulders. It's not over, she said quietly. No, Derek agreed, but it's a start. Vextara approached them. The attack has been delayed pending review. If human leadership accepts the evidence, we may yet have peace. Derek looked at the woman he'd married, the queen who'd risked everything for a chance at truth. And if they don't, Zara took his hand again. Then we keep fighting. Together. Outside the viewport, human and Valkor ships held their positions, weapons silent for the first time in weeks. It wasn't peace yet, just the absence of war. But sometimes, Derek thought, that was enough to build on. Sometimes love and truth were stronger than lies and profit. Sometimes one cargo pilot and one alien queen could change the galaxy. He smiled. So, about that conversation on honesty in marriage, Zara laughed, the sound echoing through the war room, turning heads and raising eyebrows. Later, she promised. Right now, we have a corporation to expose and a galaxy to save. Just another day, then. Just another day. And together, hand in hand, they walked